Jefferson Jackson dinner. I've been asked to make just a couple of introductory remarks, and the good news for you is I lost my voice last week, and it's just about coming back, so the remarks will absolutely have to be brief because there'll be divine intervention in the form of total laryngitis if I go on and on too much. So welcome, it's great to see everybody. It's great to get together in a non-election year, I have to say. As much as I love all the election bling, there's a certain levity that comes with being here when we can all just celebrate the good job we do and why we're Democrats and how we, through all of your hard work, we're able to work hard to help as many people as possible. Congressman Kennedy, welcome back to Cape Cod. It's always a pleasure to have you among us. So, it's my job to introduce a man who really needs no introduction. The gentleman who, with his team of volunteers, puts this dinner together every year. And Dave, I don't know how you do it, but each year seems to get better and better. Now this year, you know, we all know him and love him here on the Cape, but I have to tell you there's something extra special that he will be involved in June involving Boston Pride. Because of the support from many of you in this room, he and Erica K. Webster have been elected to be the Grand Marshals of the Boston Pride Parade this year. Isn't that great? Representing Cape Cod and all of us. So, before my voice cracks anymore, without further ado, I give you David Velasco. Come on up, David.
I don't think I need a mic, do I? I want to thank you all. You know, I went through a little moment of my life this past 2 weeks ago. I got ill, but I got so many emails and cards from all of you, and I want to thank you so, so much. And if you voted for the Stonewall, we are the first that came in Cape Cod, meaning we beat Boston and Washington. How about an applause to that? Come on. So I just want to thank you again for coming. I know this year there's not a big election coming in, but we have somebody over here. I think he's a Kennedy. I think he is. Congressman, I heard you speak Spanish.
Sí, señor.
Yo también. Mi papá era de España, mi mamá de Puerto Rico.
No me diga.
Sí, no me diga. I always thought you were Irish. He's a kick. You know, I got to say something real fast. When I first started to vote in New York City, the president, Mr. Kennedy, I was in his campaign. We had a ball in New York. Wonderful person. Thank you, your family too. So I was going to say, I want to just say something. In the audience, we have a lady called Lady Di. Does everybody know who she is? Will you stand up? She has a program called Legs Up with Lady Di, right? And what station is that? WOMR on Fridays. And you have another one too, right?
I have Chatting Up with Lady Di that's now on Thursday nights. It just started this past Thursday at 8 o'clock.
That's great. And the show is great. She has all this great music. As a matter of fact, she plays my music too, my songs. Thank you, Lady Di.
Thank you so much.
How about a nice applause for this lovely lady? We have Michael Blandon. Where are you?
Just causing trouble over here, Dave.
Yeah, the guy who causes trouble. Stand up. You all know who he is. He's the guy who asks you all these personal questions.
Not well. There's time for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Diane, you know, when you get ill and you have to do something like this, thank God I have Bobby to help me. But you know, Diane, You have been such a great inspiration, helping us. We need you this year. And Diane just came out. She was calling up on the phone, I'll do it. She's going to go into the hospital. Oh, you're so great. And thank you so much. Thank you. Carol Gillard and Barbara Bloom, where are you? They're the two ladies that you had to give the tickets and the money to. Oh. Then we have Leslie Spears is the one who does the auction. Where are you, Leslie? Stand up. And I always, this is not an easy thing, and a lot of people who were chairs of this would understand this. You need little Geppettos with you. I mean, I can't do this all by myself. We have Sue Rosemary Nichols. Sue, where are you? What's your last name? Huh?
Warner.
Porter?
Warner.
Order?
Warner.
You mean water? Water? These two ladies moved to Yarmouthport, became friends real fast. Thank you for helping me. Thank you. Where's Mark Downey? Mark, where are you?
The same table.
Well, stand up.
You put me here.
Stand up. Mark Downey. Diane, where are you? Tagiano, stand up. And I'll be honest with you, not only that I'm with Bob and all that, but Bob worked really very, very, very hard. Chairman Bob Isidore. I have to give the microphone to Bob Isidore because we have a Spanish guy sitting at table 3 who, don't worry, I'm part Portuguese, Spanish, and okay, who will now come up here and talk to you. Bob Isidore.
Thanks, David. I have a few introductions to make as well, but I am going to hold them off until the congressman speaks. Right now, I would like to call Scoutmaster Brian Carey for the presentation of colors.
This is going to be very easy again this year, but I wanted to thank Bob and David for inviting me and the Scouts to be here. It's a great honor and a great privilege to be here. If you all would stay in your seats as the colors come in. Tonight we only have one Boy Scout, but it's quite a Scout. Mr. Alan Healy from Troop 50, South Yarmouth, Life Scout, and I will say 2 merit badges away from being Eagle Scout. Wow. Alan, please present the colors. Will you all please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks very much, Bob.
Thank you, Brian. As a tradition, we've done this for the last 4 Jefferson Jackson dinners. I'd like to read something in tribute to the veterans. It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the campaign organizer, who has given us freedom to assemble. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the veteran who salutes the flag and who was laid to rest under the flag. Would all the veterans in the audience please stand? Thank you all, and thank you all for your service. There's a few things I'd like to say about the congressman. I got to get my notes here. I got a lot of things to say about the congressman.
Not a roast.
No, it's not a roast. Okay. First of all, being a Massachusetts resident, we should be very proud of the state that we live in. We are the first in medical care. Over 95% of the residents of Massachusetts are covered by health care. We're first in veteran services. We are first in education. And we were the first U.S. state where you can marry the person that you love. There have been many generations of one family who has been in the forefront for all these issues, and they are the Kennedys. Our guest speaker, the son of a businessman and politician Joseph F. Kennedy II, and grandson of Bobby Kennedy, was engulfed in political activity the day he was born. His parents, at the time of his birth, were working on the presidential campaign of U.S. Senator Ted Kennedy. As a young adult, after graduating from Stanford University, Joe, who was fluent in Spanish, as David has said, joined the Peace Corps and worked in the Puerto Plata province of Santo Domingo. From there, he returned to Massachusetts, where he and his brother chaired Ted Kennedy's re-election campaign. That same year, Joe enrolled at Harvard Law School. Hope I'm doing all this right. Okay. While in school, he worked for the Harvard Legal Aid Bureau, providing legal aid to those who needed it, families and individuals. After graduation, he was hired as an assistant DA for the Cape and the Islands. In 2012, he ran and was elected to Congress representing Massachusetts' 4th Congressional District. Since his election, he has been a fierce advocate for equal pay for equal work, raising the minimum wage, women's rights, voter rights, LGBT rights, and anti-discrimination laws. Please give a good Cape Cod welcome to Congressman Joseph Patrick Kennedy.
Bob, wow. You read it just like I wrote it, so thank you. Folks, it is such an honor and a pleasure for me to be here, for me to be home with so many of you. This is, and I'll get to this in a second, but this place, obviously, Cape Cod Hyannis means an awful lot to me, an awful lot to my family. And you got an awful lot of very dear friends in the audience tonight. So thank you for the extraordinary invitation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of you. And it's wonderful to be back. This is not the first time I've actually addressed the Jefferson Jackson dinner. Once, I believe my first time was about 4 or 5 years ago. And
some of you whispered, I remember. You're not going to remember this part because I didn't tell anybody about this part. So I was terrified when I walked in. And I was nervous, my knees were shaking. I had a little speech written out. And right before that you guys were going to call me up on stage, I ran into the bathroom to try to read it over one more time. Locked myself in a stall and I was reading it. And two other gentlemen walked in and was like, so I thought Joe Kennedy was coming tonight. And the guy said, yeah, he is, but I think it's his son. He goes, oh, well, that's a shame. So, assuming you didn't mean that invitation tonight from my dad, I am honored to be here. Really so. A healthy dose of humility goes a long way these days. So, Bob, you have been such an incredible friend, an advocate, a champion to Democrats, to our community for so many years. I am honored to call you a friend, and I'm grateful for what you do. Thank you very much. There's, as I said, a number of friends in the audience tonight. I won't go through because I know I'll miss a couple of you, so I would apologize and stick my foot in my mouth. I'll spare myself that embarrassment, but just say, as I said, thank you very, very much for the invitation to be here. Two folks that I do want to give a big shout out to because they are as close to being a part of my family as you can possibly imagine. To Kristen and Lori, your partnership with Capabilities is changing lives and showing what business can accomplish when it is inclusive, compassionate, and fair. And as many of you know, this is a cause that is very near and dear to the heart of my family. And beyond the tremendous community service that Cape Cod or Central Pie Company does, they make some pretty delicious pies. And when I say close to my family, Cape Cod Crunch, like literally a meal doesn't go by with my father when there is not a healthy serving of Cape Cod Crunch at the table. So I am so grateful and honored to be sharing the stage tonight with Centerville Pie Company. And to the man of the hour, Mr. Turner. I am so privileged to be able to play a small role in honoring you this evening. Cleon, your resume consistently sets and then shatters the bar for public service. You've served as a police officer in 3 towns across 2 states. You have shaped the future of Dennis in countless ways through your work on numerous local boards and your time as a selectman. When many would feel that that was far enough service for a lifetime, you expanded it with your constituency by running, and your constituency by running for state representative in the 1st Barnstable District. The good news for you, Cleon, is that despite your expansive and extensive service across the Cape, somehow you have avoided the pleasure of having my family members as constituents. More than a few former interns in my office can tell you, they're not shy when it comes to picking up the phone. See Mark Forrest over here in the corner. He can probably tell you that as well. So, Mark, thank you. And Cleon, as a serious note, during your decade in the State House, you worked day and night to be a voice for this area. Whether advocating for regional schools or improving private roads, your constituents' priorities were your priorities. Mr. Turner, thank you. Thank you for all that you have done for Dennis, for the Cape, and for our country. I wanted, before I get going much further, to quickly pass along regrets from one of my closest colleagues in Washington who could not be here tonight. It's your Congressman, Bill Keating. Bill got called away. I talked to him last night, yesterday when we were on the House floor. He got called away to a trip overseas with the Homeland Security Committee. He's visiting our troops, actually, in the Middle East. Underscores, give him a round of applause for that. I'm incredibly lucky to have Bill as a colleague, and I have to say, we are all incredibly fortunate that he's representing Cape Cod in Congress. He's a leading voice on the Foreign Affairs Committee and Homeland Security Committee. He's not just participating in these big debates down in Washington. He, folks, is help shaping them. So to everybody tonight, and to Bill, we miss you. He is somewhere on a flight he's on about an 8 or 9 country tour through the Middle East. But thoughts are with you tonight, and he's got a representative from the staff who's here as well. So, Bill, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there are few places more precious in the world to me than this community. From my earliest memories, racing over to Sportsport, bait and tackle at the crack of dawn to try to gear up for a day on the water with my dad. Endless summers out on Nantucket Sound with my Uncle Teddy and my cousins. Continuously stretching the limit of how many people can fit around my grandmother's table at Thanksgiving. I can trace the steps of my entire childhood across your community, across your streets. My adult life, hour after hour in the Barnstable District Court. The very first time I brought my wife to meet my family. So over the 4th of July, about an hour into the visit, all of my little cousins had her dressed up as Princess Leia marching in the 4th of July Hyannis Parade. Somehow we're still married. There's something that I know all of you know well, which is that twist and turn of that familiar drive. Down Route 3 after a long day, across the bridge, onto Route 6. Literally feeling and smelling the air change. Thinking that if there is such a place as heaven on earth, this little slice of New England has to be it. For generations of my family, this has been home. To that end, when I say it is a great honor for me to be here with all of you this evening, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Now, as most of you know, I'm a few months into my second term in Congress. And when I say it's been an interesting couple years in Congress, it's probably a bit of an understatement. Not exactly a banner time to be in Washington. Congressional approval ratings consistently rank lower than colonoscopies, traffic jams, and headlights. And believe it or not, that was actually a poll. Among my generation, millennials, 83% say that they have no faith whatsoever in Congress. When asked about confronting the major challenges our country faces, 76% of all Americans don't believe we can make any progress at all. Now, there's no question the challenges we face today are steep. An economy still searching for its footing, threats to our foreign policy the world over, political battles so deep and divisive that our government literally ground to a halt. But beneath all of that, a loss of faith, a slowly spreading suspicion that maybe our American experiment has peaked. It is possibly the most dangerous threat we face. My fellow Democrats, it'd be easy to think that this isn't really our problem. And it's those guys on the other side that are causing it and bringing it to bear. But after voting over 20 times to repeal the Affordable Care Act in my first 2 years, believe me, I agree with you. But here's the thing. For those of us here tonight, with that big D after our name, this is our problem. Not because we caused it, but because we're the only ones who are going to be able to fix it. Throughout our history, Democrats have been the ones to prove what our system is capable of. We are the party whose members did not bat an eye when risking their political careers to deliver health care reform. And today, over 16 million Americans are insured because of it. We're the party that rolled up our sleeves in the wake of an economic collapse and pushed through tough financial reform at the moment working families needed it most. We're the party that does not back down on immigration reform, on equal pay, on climate change, on Social Security, no matter the cheap political shots, the misinformation, or the vitriol thrown our way. And folks, for me, this is a deeply personal fight. I was raised in a family united by a simple belief that our system matters, that our laws make a difference, that the collective choices of our country can have powerful consequences. That good government is the strongest tool we have to improve the lives of the sick, the sad, and the suffering. But today, that fundamental American principle is under attack, threatened by a growing stigma that taking care of each other is somehow a sign of weakness rather than strength. You don't have to look much further than the 2016 GOP presidential candidates to see that. Senator Marco Rubio claims that, quote, minimum wage laws have never worked. Governor Jeb Bush proudly defended Indiana's attempts to codify discrimination under the guise of religious freedom. Senator Rand Paul has said that he would, quote, like to repeal all of Obamacare, taking away coverage from 400,000 people in his own state. Governor Scott Walker, he's compared his confrontations with unions in Wisconsin to fighting ISIL. Ted Cruz has said those four haven't gone far enough. Now, I'm not going to stand here in front of you and say that we got a perfect system. It is, after all, a human system. Earlier this week, I had the privilege of attending oral arguments in the marriage equality case currently before the Supreme Court. I will never forget walking up those steps amidst the hundreds gathered outside to witness history, passing under a phrase etched in the front of the court: equal justice under law, and taking a seat inside to watch our country try to make good on those words. As I walked out of the courtroom a couple hours later, I turned my phone back on, started sorting out what I had missed in the time in between. Baltimore. City's name filled the little screen in my hand. Behind me, the light of justice emanated from the highest court in our land. Not 50 miles away, the stubborn shadow of inequity had brought a community to its knees. The space in between those moments, that road from darkness to light, that is our country's history. Painful, proud, urgent, and unfinished. From Stonewall to Selma, it is the promise that we have made throughout our history to be an ever more perfect union. And the sweat that we're willing to shed to get there, on the steps of our Supreme Court, in the streets of our struggling cities. There is nothing more American than that. But today, there are those that doubt whether that promise still matters, whether our system can hold together a country mired in division and dysfunction. When I hear that cynicism, I think about marching in the Boston Pride Parade 3 years ago with Congressman Barney Frank. For those of you who have been to a Pride Parade, I imagine that's many of you, you can picture the scene. Block after block of dancing and banners and confetti, costumes, and overall, just general chaos. For those of you who have a sense of Barney Frank, you can imagine he was not particularly amused by any of those things, let alone 90-degree heat and the fact that we were starting 2 hours late. We finally got underway. For the next few hours, I walked by Congressman Frank's side. Person after person pushed by the barriers, lifted up the table, and rushed up to him with tears in their eyes. Thank you, Barney. Congressman, thank you. You changed my life. For 3 miles, it was a constant chorus as people bid farewell to a man who entered public life when such a parade wasn't possible. 32 years later, here he was, fighting back tears of his own, proudly holding his soon-to-be husband's hand, as his city beamed back with love, support, and gratitude. The following year, I marched with Congressman Frank once again. This time, we had another person by our side. My old college roommate, former Celtics player, Jason Collins, who had recently come out as the first gay professional athlete. So on a hot June day, a 7-foot-tall African-American professional basketball player stood next to a Jewish congressman and a red-headed Irishman. And the three of us marched through the streets of Boston in a scene our forefathers never could have imagined. That is why government matters. Because we can't predict the brightness of our own future. The new frontiers create new challenges that demand a 239-year-old system catch up. Folks, if man or market could solve every problem, capture justice on their own, you didn't need a constitution. You didn't need a Bill of Rights, a Homestead Act to settle the West, or the Emancipation Proclamation to end slavery. 19th Amendment to give women the right to vote. There'd be no unemployment support when you lose your job, no GI Bill when you come back from serving your country, no Social Security benefits when you retire. To quote Congressman Frank, government is just the name we give to the things we do together. Or as Republican President Teddy Roosevelt said, we are the government, you and I. The final story I want to leave you with tonight is my own. I have never known a country where men and women could be bought and sold, where newspapers run ads that say no Irish need apply, where water fountains are labeled colored. Never worked in a place that refused to hire a woman, or lived in a place that refused to shelter someone with disabilities. My world is the work of our imperfect, ever-evolving system, a promise passed from one generation to the next, that we will leave our country a little bit better, a little bit fairer than we found it. Democrats, that promise is ours to keep. This story is ours to tell. So that 30 years from now, our children, grandchildren, will stand on stages like this one and say with gratitude and pride that they've never lived in a country where you could be fired from a job because of who you love, paid less because of your gender, where skin color obstructs access to a ballot box, where dangerous weapons shatter elementary school classrooms, where friends of theirs raised and educated in this country were forced to leave it behind. Those of you in this room this evening, you have been in the trenches of this fight for years. You know not only what we're fighting for, but the kind of patience and persistence and faith that the long ground game of politics requires. You have never shied away from demanding that your government do better. You have held us accountable. You have poked and prodded and challenged. And in doing so, time and again, you have shown that it is not our government that defines us, but we who define our government. May we commit today to making her better, stronger, bolder, and kinder than ever before.
Thank you, Congressman Kennedy. Okay. As promised, I have to recognize a few folks. If you like. Okay. Representing Senator Warren, Stephanie Houghton. Please, I don't know where you are. Okay. Representing Senator Markey, Christine Pacheco. And representing U.S. Congressman Bill Keating, Anthony Morris. Representing Senator Dan Wolf, Elise Magnato, and Seth Robain. Oh, Sue Roback. I'm sorry. Okay, our state representatives. Representative Sarah Peak. Representative Brian Mantle. And all the way from the islands, Representative Tim Madden. Barnstable County Commissioners Mary Pat Flynn and Sheila Lyons. Our past CIDC President Jim Mahoney. And the town chairs that are present, Janet Jochum from Barnstable. Bill Grant from Bourne. Steve Livowitz, Brewster. Eve Dalmolin, Chatham. Tina Laughlin from Nantucket. Patrick Bresnahan from Dennis. Judy Cicero from Provincetown. Lydia Vivante Wellfleet. Yvonne Courtney from Mashpee. Judy Underwood from Harwich. And we have two members of the Assembly of Delegates here. John Oman. Oh, I was told I have to introduce myself. Bob Isidore from Yarmouth. And Ed McManus. And also representing the Greater Southeastern Mass Labor Council, we have Lisa Limou, am I saying that right? From SEIU 1199. And we have Donald Ray from the Southeastern Mass Labor Council. Have a great group of mass nurses here. And Marlene Pollack and Dan, her husband, from the Coalition of Social Justice. Way back here. Okay. And state committee members. John Reed. Richard Kendall. And Lisa, again, Limou she's a state party member. And last but not least, a longtime member, 20-year member, a great friend to the JJ dinner, Etta Goodstein. Okay, and I know Leslie keeps looking at me. We have a silent auction going on. So we will be actually closing the auction within a half an hour. So if you hadn't had a chance to look at the items, please do so. Bid high, bid often. We don't want to take it back. Okay, I am actually going to
The last one that I
reverse order here on the awards.
don't have to work.
We're going to give the Democrat of the Year award first here. As you know, I've been Cleon Turner's campaign manager for 10 years, is it? 10 years. Seems like 100, you know that. But anyway, I have to say, getting to know Cleon, knowing the work that he's done, you could not find a better person to represent the 1st Boston District. Thank you. When Cleon first ran, he had a lot of goals and I think a pretty high standard that he wanted to set, and he certainly has done it. This man, as his aides know, would read every single bill thoroughly before he would vote. And when he found discrepancies in those bills, he brought it to the attention to the speaker, who sometimes wasn't that thrilled about it, but in fact he did. And I can tell you, I know he is a great loss at the State House. But before we get too far into Cleon, I'd like to talk about Meg, his wife. We all know, those of you who are in politics, even though you may be doing the best job you can, you would not be doing that if it wasn't for your spouse. And I can tell you, putting your life on hold because you are married to a politician is not an easy thing to do. Especially with someone like Cleon who works 24/7. But the support that Cleon has received from Meg is really a gold standard that I think all politicians wish they had. And I want to thank you personally, Meg, for all the wonderful support you have not only given Cleon, but us at the JJ dinner and the CIDC. So our heart goes to you. David, welcome to see you here. Thank you, Meg. You both will always be in our hearts and friends forever. So anyway, I'd like to get David up here too, because I think we would like to get Cleon to stop eating and come here and get his award.
There's a lot of food here.
Follow the rose bill.
Please welcome State Representative Cleon Turner. Well, Cleon, the tables are turned on you now. I remember a few years back, Cleon ended up giving me the Democrat of the Year award, so it's I kind of enjoyed doing this to you. But on behalf of the Jefferson Jackson and the Cape and Islands Democratic Council, it is my honor and privilege to present you, Cleon Turner, the award for Democrat of the Year. I think Senator Representative Peake, would you like to come up as well?
Representative Mel,
Mano, and Tim Madden, where are you?
he went to fetch the last ferry home.
Okay. Okay, David, do you want to say something?
I'll tell you why. You know, when people are running for a position, they always come to our house to talk to Bob Isidore, and we look them up and we figure them out, and then we talk about it. This guy over here came to our house 7 years ago or something like that, and when he came in, he wanted to know if Bobby wanted to be his campaign manager, and Bobby was talking. So when he left, I says to Bob, "Who's this guy that we have in the house. He says, but Cleon Turner is running for, he is? I really don't know about that. You might have to invite him back. Well, he came back with Meg. When I saw Meg, I said, this is our man, this is our man. Remember, Meg, you're the lady of the house. And I always loved Meg, and I still love Meg. I just had to say that because when we were doing this, Bob and I sit down and talk, and then he's been so great, but he's turned out to be Meg and Cleon. Not only did we do this, but he's turned out to be our best friend. And that means an awful lot. And this guy over here, we miss him so much. Can you come back just for 2 more years? How about 1 year? So I just had to say that. I'm going to give this over to Sarah. Thank you, my friend.
And I'm giving it over to Brian Mannel.
Thanks. I had the chance and really the blessing to sit next to Cleon in my first term and his last term. And to say that I learned a lot from Cleon is an understatement. Not only on the floor in the way that he prepares, and he prepared for every single bill that came before us, but also just in dealing with things up to the State House and sort of keeping things in perspective. And one of the nice things that I always liked about Cleon is that he really is about as apolitical as any politician that I've ever met. He is a straight shooter. He's someone who cares about ideas and cares about the democratic values that we all share in common. But he's someone who's not compromising. And in some ways, that's a lesson for all of us, because Cleon walked away from the seat and decided that he'd wait till Meg was ready to retire. And we all know, because we know how sweet Meg is, that it would have been horrible for Cleon to be home by himself. But to say that he's missed is truly an understatement, and it's something that as a delegation, it leaves it honestly leaves both a void as far as his humor, but also his conscience and just his dedication to the group, and quite frankly his intelligence too. I don't want to say that Brewster isn't well represented right now, but we're all Democrats here, and the reality is that Cleon held onto that seat and really represented something for that community that, quite frankly, I don't think is any longer represented. So we owe. Let's give a round of applause. Cleon's probably never seen one of these before. Yeah. Elise and Stephanie, come on up.
Come on up. You were part of the team too. Come on up.
Elise and Stephanie, and personally Elise, who's put up with probably more than, well, almost as much as Meg. So on behalf of the House, we have moments where you give citations, and quite frankly, I thought of a lot of jokes that I could tell for Cleon, but I think we'll just play this one straight. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Cleon Turner. You've never seen one of these before, so the language is probably new to you, but yeah, never heard it, but yeah. And this goes to Cleon Turner in recognition of being named the 2015 Democrat of the Year by the CIDC Democratic Councils, and the entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. And it's given the second day of May, and it's not at the State House, although it says so, and it's signed by Bob DeLeo, our Speaker of the House, and every other member of the Cape and Islands Democratic delegation. To Cleon Turner, our Democrat of the Year. We love you, Cleon.
Okay, we have actually 2 more citations.
We've taken this time. We'd like to ask Cleon to run again.
I did.
That makes us know.
Meg said not with this wife. Okay, would you like to read one, sir?
Sure.
You want to see how long it was?
Yeah, that's right. Well, this is great. This is from Edward J. Markey, Certificate of Special Congressional Recognition, presented to Representative Cleon Turner in recognition of outstanding and invaluable service to the community, given this second day of May 2015, and signed by Ed Markey. Cleon, congratulations. And here from Elizabeth Warren, since she's not to Iowa or New Hampshire, she had time to procure this, at least not this election cycle. The 114th Congress, the Honorable Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, recognizes State Representative Cleon Turner, given May 2015. She says, I am proud to join your friends, family, and the Democratic Party in congratulating you on receiving the Democrat of the Year award. Your service as a state representative is greatly appreciated, and your efforts to go above and beyond have not gone unnoticed. On behalf of all citizens across the Commonwealth, thank you for your tireless dedication through the years. Congratulations once again, and I wish you the very best in all future endeavors. Elizabeth Warren, United States Senator. Congratulations, Cleon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. This one little story I'll share about Cleon is when Dave and I first started working on his campaign. As a matter of fact, I think it was when the governor was down for your announcement. Cleon got up in front of a crowd of people and he said, you know what, like, I'm trying to think how you said it. Chinese, you know how Chinese food is? You know, with food you get an egg roll. He says, well, with Bob you get David. So, and I don't think he was smiling then, but he did after he won the election though. So, I thank you all, and we're going to take a short break while we're having our rest of our dinner, and then we'll doing the second award later. Would you like to say a few words? Of course. Would you want the microphone? Should I give it to him?
Thank you. And thank all of you for being here and allowing me to receive this award. But I couldn't receive this award without thanking the men and women in my life. The men in my life being Bob, because there is no Bob without David, and no David without Bob. So these guys have been unbelievable in my political life, especially and as friends since then, since I began the political life. But the women in my life also extremely important. And it reminds me that when I worked for a group of lawyers called McNeil and Fitch, now in Barnstable, started in Sandwich back then. And when I first spoke with Jim McNeil about working with them, he asked me one question. Do you think you can work for 3 women? Meaning the 3 secretaries we had in the office. And I said, yeah, I think I can do that. So there are 4 women actually in my life that made my political life possible. Obviously, there is no Cleon without a Meg. My wife. And my very first aide, Stephanie Cox. Together we were great. I wouldn't have been great without Stephanie being there. But Stephanie decided to abandon me. And when she did that, I ran into another spectacular woman, Elise Magnato. Who, again, without Elise, nothing here. So that was very good. And finally, at the end of my term was Carly Fleming, who isn't here tonight. She's taken a job in Bay City, New York. Hopefully she's doing well. I just actually texted her a few moments ago. And we miss each other a lot. She was great as well, and without those 4 women, my political life would have been torturous. For the most part, it was great. So with that, I'd like to thank all of them and all of you, but I have a Barney Frank story that I would like to share as well. And it's really a fun story. I had a fundraiser when I was running for my first term, doing a lot of those. Few people showed up here, few people showed up there, but I had a fundraiser at the home of Susan Klein in South Dennis. And she and I actually were together at a point in time, and her house has this big deck on the back that's 12 feet by 14 feet and is 14 feet off the ground. And during this fundraiser, there were a lot of people on the deck, which made me really nervous, and a lot of people on the lawn. And lo and behold, who shows up but Barney Frank? Unexpected, unannounced, just happened to be down in Provincetown for the day and heard about this fundraiser, so stopped in. And he decided to speechify, one of my favorite words, by the way, speechify, which I'm doing now. Anyway, Barney showed up and he decided he was going to do his speechifying not only on the deck, but the deck had benches and went into a corner with a table in the corner, and he decided to stand on the table to do his speechifying. I said to Barney, I can picture you falling off this deck and the headlines in the paper saying, Barney Frank killed falling off this deck. And so it didn't faze him at all. He decided he was going to get up there. And I said, Barney, I built the deck. Which was true. Yet, he still stayed on that table and made his speechifying from the table and made me nervous. I was sweating like mad when he finished his speech. So anyway, that's my Barney story. Thank you all for the support over 10 years and for the faith in me and making sure I got reelected and was able to serve you for that 10 years with the help of 3 great ladies. Thank you.
Actually, since we're moving along with the dinner here, Seth, would you like to come up? Where is Seth?
Who's Seth?
Oh, here you are.
What's your face? Tell me more.
I know you have a few words to say, and then you can go on with the second award, if you would. And I'll step down.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Cleon, I wanted to share with you all a project that the Senator and I and you, many of you have been working on, and bring you up to speed on it before we do our next award ceremony. And this is a notion for us as Democrats. So I'm here to talk for a moment about a notion for us as Democrats. What brings us together? What unites us? What makes us Democrats? What makes us community people? What makes us move forward? We believe in some core things together, and those things don't just crop up every 2 years, do they? They're here every day, they're here every week, they're here every month, and they're in every one of our communities. There are key issues that we all care about, and there are key issues that we share. Well, what are some of them? Anybody got any notions out there? The key issues that bring us together, what are they? People. What are they? Environment, energy, education, healthcare, right? Citizens United. Let's get rid of that thing, right? There are key issues that bring us all together. And what we need to do, Dan has taught me, as a party and as a community, is keep our focus on those issues as well as on the elections that bring us all together every couple of years. And that's why we've been having discussions with many of our town committees. Many of you have heard this conversation about the notion that we should come together, define those core issues that we care most about, and then go out and find ourselves a great community organizer. Not a political organizer, a community organizer who helps us focus our energy, bring our work together, and make real change in our communities. Each issue requires a different strategy. Do we want to close Pilgrim? Do we want universal education for our kids pre-K? Yes, we do, because that's going to bring our communities back together. Do we want health care that really makes sense? Do we want homeowners insurance that really makes sense? Let's pick our issues, let's decide our strategies, and then let's have somebody whose responsibility is to harness the beautiful energy in this room and make it happen. And make it happen. It could happen at the town level, it could happen at the state level, it could happen at the county level. Each issue needs its own strategy. So I'm here to tell you that you're going to be hearing more about this idea. And we've been reaching out to you all already. Many of our town committees are very strongly supportive of this idea, and we're going to be asking you for your help. And Bob, of course, is going to be leading that charge. So I just wanted to give you an idea. Remember this, a community organizer for the Democrats, for the Cape and Islands. And now to the really important thing that I have to do. Centerville Pie Company. Centerville Pie Company. Could the great folks of Centerville Pie Company please come up? Where are you? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, the auction is going to be closing in 5 minutes, Bob tells me. The representative? Good. Good.
I want to say word.
Absolutely. As many of you know, the Centerville Pie Company is a personification of business that makes sense. That business that does well and does good. Of business that shares with this community, a business that gives back to this community, and also makes great, great food. And I'll share a story thanks to Dan's remarkable Chief of Staff, Elise McNaughton Cleary, which is that every year at the State House around Christmas time, the senator likes to give a little present to all the other senators in the State House, and all the senators reciprocate.
And the reps.
And the reps too. We always give Centerville pies. Every year, everybody gets a Centerville pie, right? So, and there are times when the senators, send each other notes and reciprocate and, have good civility and all those nice things that don't happen in Washington. And when Dan got reelected the last time around, he got a note from one of the senators who said, "Dear Senator Wolf, / Dan, so happy that you've been reelected and that we're going to get the chance to work with you. But what we're really happy about is that we know we're going to get another pie at Christmas because you won." And that, from Boston back to the Cape, from capabilities to our office, is one of the beautiful things about what you do. Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Representative Neal.
Kristen and Lori, thanks. I love you guys. You're the best. I grew up down the street from the original Centerville Pie Company, and as a child, I remember going and having some of the same recipes, the same pies that we've all now come to love. Thank you, Oprah. The thing about these guys, everyone knows the pies. Every Wednesday morning, my daughter doesn't know this, but my son and I go to breakfast at Centerville Pie Company. We put Emma on the bus, and then we drive to Centerville Pie Company and have breakfast, and it's delightful. I don't think my wife knows that either, but she does now. We also go almost every single weekend to go and have breakfast there because we love, it's a great atmosphere, great staff, but outstanding food as well. However, while going door to door, and I use the vote builder system to try and identify and target voters, and you go and you talk to voters who are actually going to get out and vote. And this is a strategy that works. I think that everyone knows. We sort through the list according to people who are going to be there on election day, as opposed to wasting your time on people who might not get out. Every year, there is, these two ladies are on the list. And it just goes to show, you can look down, you can see who cares about the community, who gives back to the community. And it's evident not only from the fact that you vote in every single election, and you are super voters, but it's more evident in the fact of what you've done for our community in terms of engaging with capabilities. And you have a business that you don't need to do that, but what you decided to do is invest back in and give something back to us. And so, we have a citation here for you, oddly, strangely worded, similar to Cleon's citation. In this case, you're receiving the 2015 Community Service Award. But I do want to say that, it takes a special person to recognize that if they have an opportunity to make a ton of money, to actually transform it into a gift for other people. And when you go to Centerville Pie Company, that's what they've done. They've had a tremendous blessing in getting all of this coverage, and they could have taken that and just put it in their pockets, and they'd be down, somewhere in the Caribbean by now. But what you guys have done is you continue to invest back in our community, and the community recognizes it. And whether you're openly Democrats out there, but you know what, we're claiming you as our own. We love you. We love the work that you do, and we're so happy that you have chosen, Cape Cod and Centerville to build your business and bring good things to life here. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Stephanie, Christina, would you guys like to come up and present the awards for the senators?
Apparently, as the Cape Codder, I get to go first. For those of you who don't know, I'm Stephanie Houghton. I work for Senator Warren. I'm her Southeast Regional Director, which includes the Cape and Islands. From the 114th Congress, the Honorable Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts recognizes the Centerville Pie Company in May of 2015. I am proud to join your friends, family, and the Democratic Party in congratulating the Centerville Pie Company on receiving the Community Service Award. Your commitment to supporting disabled adults is inspiring, and your efforts to go